Hey, bud, what's your problem?
So we're not going to fight anymore.
Come down for moose soup after!
I am a professionally trained radio DJ.
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
I will eat your ass.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the WTH Podcast. Kareem here with me, Jason. We're waiting on Jason to officially start the show. So, Kareem, how you doing, man? What are you, a King season ticket holder or something? What's going on? Oh, and of course he's frozen. That's what's going on. Okay.
I had another 2 more deaths in the family.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, one this afternoon. So,
and you're doing the podcast?
Yeah,
well,
it's just, man.
Well, we'll keep a good thought out for you and your whole family, because that's just fucking awful. So,
yeah,
condolences, and very sorry to hear that. Hey, while we're waiting for Jason, let's get a little sports talk out of the way now.
Can you hear me?
Because I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Shit.
Yes, I can hear you. Oh no, that's a very confused look he has. Now I can't hear you. I could hear you fine. Now I cannot. That's the beauty of a live stream. No, I cannot. Nope, not getting you at all. You are muted. That's why. Let me see if I can unmute you here. I cannot. You have to unmute your own mic. There you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Did some weird stuff over here for a minute.
Windows 11?
Yeah.
That was the worst thing I did, was upgrade to Windows 11. Every now and then I'll look over and my computer will just have this screen like, hey, something really bad has happened. Do you want to fix it? Or do you... I'm like, yeah, I'd like to go back in time to before I installed Windows 11 is what I would like to do. Hi, Jason.
Hello.
Hi. We're just shooting the breeze about how much Windows 11 sucks.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, Windows 11 sucks. While Jason is getting all accustomed to stuff, Kareem, what's the attitude amongst the hardcore Kings fans? Are we excited? Are we bummed out? I mean, it's been a very weird ride, and the Lakers are doing everything they can to help the Kings make the play-in.
Well, they beat the Heat, and then they were down by 30 tonight. So,
I don't look. Yeah, it's been a weird thing.
Yeah, so they beat the Heat like yesterday or the day before, and then we were on our way home, and Barbara said they were down by like 30 points. So
sounds right. That sounds about right.
I went to see them play. I think it was the Bulls. They beat the Bulls,
right?
And then they were in the game against Milwaukee, and then they lost. But they were at least in the game, the whole game.
Yeah, and Milwaukee's one of the better teams too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, hope for next year, and who do you think they're going to get for a coach? What's going on with that,
dude? They screwed themselves so much in that aspect. Because I'm watching all of these good young teams that have coaches that could have been or should have been the Kings coach, and they held on to Luke too long.
King's gonna king, baby. King's gonna king.
So the coach that Phoenix has was one of the people that we're talking about when he got hired. Cleveland has a good young team, another young coach. Houston isn't even winning games, but they're playing hard for their coach.
Yeah.
So
Jason's suitably bored, but this is all bonus content for people.
Yeah. But just watching all these Memphis. I said a couple of weeks ago that John Morant is what the Kings hoped De'Aaron Fox was going to be.
You did. I saw that here. And how about the Nuggets and their plucky coach? Oh wait, he was the Kings.
He was the Kings coach. Yeah.
And they decided that was enough of that.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, we get it. I will trade you to Cleveland. Oh
Yes.
wait.
And then they traded Marvin Bagley, and he hit 27 for Detroit last night. So.
Well, whoopty shit. Who cares? Let's see Marvin Bagley go 5 games without hurting himself.
For
Exactly.
real.
Excited.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I was a person who I'm a Duke fan to my core, and I was like, don't take him.
Yeah. Well, say la vie.
C'est la vie.
Let's do it. Hey, everybody, welcome into another episode of the WTH Podcast. We've officially started the show. I hope you enjoyed all of that bonus content, about 5 minutes of us talking sports and nonsense before the official show started. But if it all went in, is it the official show? Well, not if you're one of those people listening to the audio version of it around the world, from Australia to India, across Europe to Canada, and of course, Bella Vista, California. Welcome in to another episode of the WTH Podcast.
Welcome
We're glad
in.
to have you.
Welcome in.
Coming up on the show today, we're going to actually play the sound of a dog whistle, so you'll know what a dog whistle sounds like, specifically a racist one.
That's good. I was like, you can't hear a dog. Oh, but okay, you can.
Yeah. That's why we're here. We're here to make things make sense for people. Plus, one of my favorite bands is back after a 7-year hiatus. They announced they are back. I'm very excited.
Is it the Everly Brothers?
I don't care if anybody else cares.
Who is it?
We're talking about that. Look, we're talking about it later. Plus, sad news from the Foo Fighters. All right, so I just want to say this at the beginning of the show. We are, in fact, Gen X, Generation X. All of us are, and we've got a Gen X attitude. That's now the motto of the show. So we're branding the show. We're Generation X, and we've got a Gen X attitude.
I'm a Zennial, but that's fine.
What year were you born?
77.
You're Generation X, fucker.
No, I'm actually an in-between generation.
You are not. You're one of those assholes who says,
Motherfucker,
"No,
you're not
I'm
on the cusp."
You're not on the cusp of anything. It goes 1965 to 1980, at least. Some say 85. So at 77, you are smack in Generation
He has
X.
some millennial tendencies, though.
He does. That is a fact.
Generation
Not the good
X was born approximately 1965 to 1976. This is according to Wikipedia.
Fuck
on
Wikipedia.
Generation- what? Okay, let's
Fuck
see where they
Wikipedia.
source. Let's
By
see
the
where
way,
the source is for it.
You
Let's see the
think
source.
you think I announced this without looking this up in like 6 different places?
Yes.
None of which can be edited by any asshole with a computer.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying I've looked at it a number of times because I remember I thought I was Gen X for years, and I kept looking at it, and I was left out because I was 76. And then it was like millennials are like 80, 82 or 83 to through it. Like there's a middle generation that didn't have any alignment, but it's fine. I can be the wrong one in this situation, and it's not like I've ever looked at it or read about it.
Well, congratulations. You are the wrong one in this situation. You're provably wrong.
Okay.
Here we go. So, and that, if you're paying attention, that is Gen X attitude right there.
Yes.
We just demonstrated that for you, and you weren't even aware of it. Okay, let's get into this. Let's talk about health. So it's This Week in Health. Now, we had planned to not do a show last week. That was set up beforehand because Jason had rehearsals that he was doing. We'll get to that in a bit. For an upcoming play. And Kareem and I talked, and we decided let's take the week and not do a show. So what did I do? Well, I went out and somehow acquired a vicious stomach bug. I woke up last Sunday at, I want to say 4 a.m. Now, if you've got a sensitive constitution, you're going to want to. I'll dumb it down a little bit. Shitting razor blades is the Is the way I would say it. Now, if that were it, I'd be like, well, that's unpleasant, but then unfortunate. But that wasn't it. It came with a bit of nausea, a bit of lightheadedness, that then caused me to spin around and just throw up.
Ooh.
And that was my Sunday. That was my Sunday. I was in bed unless I was doing those two things, usually one right after the other. Basically Sunday, and then Monday I was a little better, but still I wasn't throwing up on Monday. But I had the other. Everything was cool. Yeah, it does sound like Del Taco. I did not eat at Del Taco, but I understand that. Comments on Facebook. But then I started to feel better by Tuesday, a little bit better. And Leslie was still fine as of Tuesday. Wednesday morning, she woke me up. Well, she woke up early, woke me up and asked for a large bowl because she was not going to do the spin around. Now you can argue whose technique was more effective, but either way, so that's what we've had in our home for most of the week, is that stomach bug, and it's brutal.
Ooh.
So yeah, that was mine. Kareem, how's your health been this past week?
My health has been okay, but I did make a doctor's appointment for this Friday for my new doctor, new insurance.
Okay.
And then our buddy Kevin, he had a colonoscopy last week, which made me decide to go ahead and make that call to go ahead and get that done. So I have an appointment Friday to get like my general checkup, and then hopefully during that appointment we can make all of those appointments to get my prostate exam and colonoscopy and all that stuff. I've literally lost 2 people in the last 2 weeks to cancer, so I kind of want to make sure that things are good that way.
Yeah.
So my aunt died the last Sunday, and then I had a relative that died this evening before the show. She had pancreatic cancer, and that shit does not play. So yeah. So if you hear anybody that says they have pancreatic or liver cancer, don't pray. Don't pray for a miracle. Pray that they can get whatever they need to get taken care of, because those two things they were unforgiving.
Isn't pancreatic cancer what Alex Trebek had?
I think it might have been.
Yeah. And he actually fared in terms of holding on much longer than the average person who's diagnosed does. But yeah, condolences, man, and good for you for taking care of that. I've had a couple of colonoscopies, and they were great. No, honestly, the prep was far more pleasant than what I went through last Sunday.
Yeah.
And then they give you some anesthetic when you go in. And the last one I had, I don't even remember getting all the way into the room before I went down, like out, and I woke up after it was over. So there's no reason for anybody to be like, I don't want to do. Yeah, just go do it. Get it taken care of. It's super easy. So good job on that, Jason. Now let's hear about you and your health. How has your health journey been over the past week or so?
Good so far.
You had your rehearsals.
Right, yeah. I was rehearsing for a play that was supposed to premiere on Friday of last week. But on last Tuesday, I got a message saying that my co-star that I'd been rehearsing without a mask for the previous week, for all but one day, tested positive for COVID on Tuesday. So, yeah, I am crossing my fingers. And
so far, so good for you. You have not had symptoms. You've not tested positive.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, like, allergies were crazy kind of last week for me a little bit, like, especially when it was windy yesterday before it rained. We slept like all week with the windows open because I might have had COVID. Didn't know it, and I was wearing a mask all around. So like I have like a little bit of a throat thing, which is like worrisome at all times, but it's, the way it is. I don't have anything else going on. I'm taking my temperature regularly. I took a test yesterday. It was negative. I took it was an expired one, but I took another test today that we had from some old tests that we have. And that was negative also. And I'll just wait for a couple more days.
Yeah, I also took a COVID test because that's one of the things they ask you. Have you had diarrhea? That's apparently one of the symptoms too. And I was negative on the home COVID test as well, as was Leslie. So stomach bug. But anyway, yeah, everybody take care of yourselves out there. I'm just hoping. I mean, I know that she's definitely not listening to the podcast. We're not friends on Facebook, but I was just hoping that she actually had said it to get out of having to kiss me and make out with me in the. I'm hoping that that's what it was, or that she didn't think she could get all of her lines memorized in time, because we were both kind of wrangled into it. Like when I auditioned for it, I thought I was auditioning for something that was happening in May, not in March. Like that was the first thing. Yeah, you had mentioned that to me. So I'm like, when is it? And you're like, oh, it's in March. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
it's March now.
And that's the same thing that she had the same thing, and the director had the same thing happen to him. So all of us were kind of like, oh, we have 2 weeks to do this? Okay. And it's a 15-minute play, and it's just two people. So that's a lot of dialogue between two people for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was actually closer to like maybe 20 minutes. Anyhow, on Monday, the Monday before she had COVID, she'd auditioned for another show that day. And it was a callback, I believe. And she, what else was it? We didn't have our lines down that day. Like we were supposed to be off book that day, and neither of us were off book. Like I was off book. We were off book for like maybe the first half. But the second half it fell to shit. And it's because it's a lot of her bigger pieces of dialogue, and she works full time. And while I have a family, I don't necessarily work all the time, so I can listen to the lines over and over and over all day, and repeat them. So I'm hoping that that's what it was. That she either A, didn't know her lines, B, she just felt like she doesn't have any responsibility to do the show, or C, she didn't want to kiss me. I joked with her last week that I was like, I'm hoping you're like that you're just kidding, and you just didn't want to make out with me in the show about having COVID, or because you felt hoodwinked into this as the rest of us did. And she said, "Nope, I have COVID. LOL."
Yes, LOL. Indeed. Yeah. LOL. Speaking of LOL, the Oscars were last night, and
what the Oscars were last night?
Sure. You know how I know? I got alerts that Will Smith had gone up on stage and slapped Chris Rock. I'm sure there were a lot more people that turned on the Oscars after that. I wasn't one of them because I have the internet and I don't have to do that to know what happened. So basically, here's what happened. Chris Rock made a lame joke that wasn't really even a joke. It was more just like an aside sort of thing, mentioning Jada Pinkett Smith. And he referenced G.I. Jane, which, by the way, timely reference. Fucking movie's 30 years old. So it didn't really go over in the room very well, which big deal. It didn't go over in the room very well. Chris Rock was like, and he's already moving on. He's already on to the next thing, and Will Smith comes walking up on stage. At which point I see Chris Rock puts his hands behind his back.
Oh, Chris Rock did say right before he came up, he did say, "What? That was an easy one." Like
Right, afterward, because the crowd was like, "Oh,
yeah."
Like, well, that was an easy one. It was a GI Jane joke.
Yeah.
Well, he mentioned that later. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just like, because there was time. Yeah.
It was not what one would call necessarily particularly biting.
Right.
It wasn't good. It wasn't kind. It was in poor taste. It was a 30-year-old reference. Whatever you think. Anyway, Chris Rock, hands behind his back. Will Smith walks up and just slaps him right across the face. Rock takes it as Will Smith is walking back to his seat. Chris Rock says, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. For anybody, and I appreciate that as someone who does an audio format to describe exactly what happened in case you didn't see it. And then Will Smith goes back and he sits down and nothing really happens except Will Smith's yelling, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." Like he's channeling angry Bill Cosby. And Chris Rock goes, "Okay, I will." He says, "No, you keep." Okay, whatever. But then nothing happens. Like literally nothing happened. They went to break. Will Smith sits there the rest of the show. He has assaulted someone. Now, Chris Rock's not pressing charges, but he has assaulted someone on live TV. And whether you think that it was justified that he slapped him or not, you can't let somebody go up and assault somebody on live TV and then let them just sit back down and not say, you got to go. You can't just sit here and stay here. So let's go around the room. Will Smith, Kareem, are you defending or are you slapping down his move?
So I sent you guys the YouTube video. Did you either one of you watch it?
Which YouTube video? I saw the whole unedited version of what happened.
No. The YouTube video that I sent you.
No, I did not.
What was the YouTube video that you sent me?
I sent the 5 heartbeats video.
Oh, I saw.
Oh, no, I did not.
I did not watch it. Sorry.
I did not watch that. Sorry.
Okay.
It's been a day.
So now I have to explain it. Okay, so have either one of you seen the 5 heartbeats?
No.
A long time ago on VHS.
Okay, so the 5 heartbeats is a movie by Robert Townsend about a black singing group in the 50s, 60s.
Styled Up Temptations.
So in the movie, Robert Townsend and his brother, who's played by the actor Leon, does this thing called Shy Brother, which the younger brother, which is Robert Townsend, goes up to a woman and tells her how shy the other brother is so that they can get the woman. So at this one point in the movie, Robert Townsend asks Leon to go do it for him. But instead of Leon talking for him, he clowned him and he got the girl. Okay. So they go walking off. And then the next thing you see is the said girl's husband walk back in to the scene and throws his drinks down on the table. And he's like, there we go. Every fucking night I got to fight to prove my love. That's what happened.
Well, that's fine. But are you cool with what happened, or are you like, what the fuck?
No, I'm not cool with what happened. What I'm saying is this is so she is that chick. So she is that chick that, because if you watch the video, when you watch the video, you'll see that he laughed. Will laughed at the joke, at the G.I. Jane joke.
Yeah, there was some mention of that. There was other stuff before that.
I was gonna say there's a big joke before it.
Yeah, he laughed at the G.I. Jane joke, and then she looked at him and was like, "That's not funny." And then he got up and went up to the stage.
Yeah, it cut to her, and
yeah, and
she was clearly upset. She was clearly not having it. She didn't care for it at all, and I don't blame her. It wasn't, whether or not you know about her medical condition.
If you're in the room, you're fair game.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
not like and she's a celebrity. It's not
yeah,
like Liam. It's not like Liam Neeson's wife, who nobody knows.
Right.
Who's just a private citizen.
Right. So, and every one of those shows that I've watched, nobody talks about anybody's significant other that's not in the business.
Right.
But if you're in there in the room and you're in the entertainment industry, you're fair game. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an issue with him telling the joke. It was kind of a throwaway joke because he saw her and it was an observation if nothing else. So I say that to say Will hit him, but Will wasn't hitting him. They've dealt with all of the shit that he's had to deal with from her red table talks. So her deciding to put all their business out in the street, right. Her having, they have quote unquote an open relationship, which was a rumor, but they decided to confirm it. And then
who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? But Will's been more discreet about it than she has been, which puts a whole different level of pressure on him.
Do you want to hear my theory? This is my theory. My theory is that Will Smith, because of that, and because of reputation going back to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air days, because we have got the new Fresh Prince, which is hard.
Yeah,
we've got him playing. The Williams sisters' dad. Hard role. Yeah. Now he's going up on stage, and he's slapping Chris Rock because he's hard. I think that Will Smith is doing a publicity situation where he is trying to remake his image as he's a hard guy.
I can see that too, but I really think it was the fact that they've been having to deal with I'm gonna say he's had to deal with so much.
It's true because,
and she hasn't, like, if your wife knew that you were going to do something like that, especially on what is going to be the biggest night of your life, would she let you go do that? Would she just stand back and let you go do that? Or would she try to prevent you from making the mistake?
Oh, of course. If your wife actually cares, she's going to keep you from looking a fool.
Exactly. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that I said before is men who commit domestic violence don't commit domestic violence. They're not really beating their wife. They're beating their mother because they don't have respect for her. So Will wasn't slapping Chris. Will was slapping Jada, and he can't slap Jada. So that was who he took it out on Chris, and he took it out on Chris for all the other shit that all the other people have been doing. And the other thing that came up with him doing the role was he's talked about lately about his father and his father being an abuser. So he's trying to make up for stuff that him not being able to protect his mother, and him taking on that role as a protector for the Williams sisters.
Well, he's a vessel of love,
He's a vessel of love, but they're full of shit. We're all fallible, and one of the things is keeps putting him in bad positions, and that's why I say she's like that chick in the movie, where the guy's like, every night I gotta fight to prove my love. Yeah. She keeps doing things to make him prove his love, but she's not showing him love in those spaces that she's doing that to him.
Jason, thoughts?
I mean, I will say there's a couple of things that I've always heard that I would point out in this situation. Not saying whether anything was right or wrong, but I've known people to get beat up, and I've known people to beat up people for making fun of a relative or a family member that has some type of disability or issue, and that might affect the way that they look or the way that they act or whatnot. So I know that people can be very, 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 very protective when it comes to things in that area and around that type of stuff. Another thing is I watched this movie that Chris Rock voiced. It was the narrator for about black girls' hair, and about how you never talk about a black woman's hair, how you never make comments on a black woman's hair, how doing that is misogynistic and misogynist. Like, it's not good to make comments on a black woman's hair, whether if you're a man in any way. If it's something that's bad or negative about their hair, you're not supposed to talk about. That's a fallible thing to do. I also don't believe violence is acceptable. It's not acceptable to just go around hitting or punching people whenever you feel like it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know that I almost punched a lady at a Nike store for telling me that I was abusing my kids for making them wear a mask during the pandemic. You know what I mean? I don't talk to me about my kids or my family. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's my take. There's a lot going on there, and he also has all that other shit going on that Cream was talking about. I also can say that I've watched his show that he has on Disney Plus, and it seems like Will is living his best fucking life out there, going all over the world, doing all kinds of awesome, cool shit. So, I mean, he's having a fun time, except for when they put him out doing something that he's like, you didn't tell me you were going to put me in this submarine that goes down, 20,000, that goes down this deep. Well, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I didn't, So, I don't know. I mean, it was a shitty joke. All this over a shitty joke.
No one is defending the joke.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not defending anything either. I'm just saying, like, I can see a lot of different avenues and sides and directions in this, and I'm not Will Smith, I'm not Jada, and I'm not Chris.
and look, and I'm going to say this from the way, the other part of the reaction, it seems almost like that was a conversation that they had ahead of time, too.
Possibly.
The two of them.
Well, here's
Will and Jada.
Look, if Tom Cruise did this, everybody would be up Tom Cruise's ass. And there would be all pointing out, there would be a lot of Scientology talk about it. And for anybody who's not aware, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith are just as big a Scientologists as Tom Cruise is. Yes. They just are. It's not necessarily talked about as much. But they are, and they get a pass for it for whatever reason. It's like, okay, well, whatever. By the way, we Chris Rock declined to file a police report. Of course he did. He's not going to file a police report. I mean, you're not going to be the guy who stands there, put your hands behind your back, knowing, okay, this guy's going to come up. He's probably going to hit me. You don't then file a police report. Especially since he didn't hurt you. By the way, the silence and the reaction to the joke probably hurt more than the slap.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a weird, for me, it's a weird dynamic. And reading through all of the comments and everything today, it's a really weird dynamic. And then there's this, kind of like civil war going on in the black community between, as you say, Generation Xers and the youngsters and their woke culture and their trauma. So it's a whole dynamic going on in there with those conversations. It's really weird. It's really, to me, it's kind of hilarious. And to get back to what Nate said at the beginning of the show, we're fucking Generation Xers. Mm-hmm. For me to hear you talk about how your parents didn't work out their generational trauma and protect you from their generational trauma, when the word generational trauma is only probably like 2 years old, and I'm fucking 3 generations removed from slavery. Like real, like seriously, 3 fucking generations removed from slavery. My grandmother's parents were born at the end of slavery.
Right.
So don't give me this bullshit about how fucking how far we're supposed to be advanced as people in that short period of time. And then the fact that you don't even deal with the shit that most of the shit that they're talking about as trauma isn't even really trauma. Is they're unfucking comfortable and they don't want to be uncomfortable about anything.
Well, who does? Who wants to be uncomfortable?
So, so you got those whole dynamics going on. So it's just so it's interesting to watch. And then just thinking about people in the other parts of the world that are still actually going through a lot of the shit that we went through when we were younger. And it's like the world hasn't gotten past a lot of that stuff as a whole. So
yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I want to Howard Stern reacted to it. I want to get a little bit of that in here too.
Hand with a lot of force smacks him right in the mouth on TV. Now, the first thing I said to myself is, what the fuck is going on? Is this a bit? Because where's security? This is a live television event. Not one person came out. Because he's Will Smith, this is how Trump gets away with shit. Will Smith and Trump are the same guy. He decided he's going to take matters into his own hands, at a time when the world is at war. It's bad timing, man. I mean, just, calm your fucking ass down.
It shows where we are as human beings. Like, you can't even say something in a room without a war breaking out.
Yeah. So he gets up and smacks Will Smith smacks Chris Rock. And Chris Rock, Jesus, the guy's so fast comedy-wise. He actually recovered and made a joke and said, gee, best Oscars yet. He was able to comment outside of what just happened to him. And then he got flustered. If you've seen the uncensored stuff, and he basically couldn't even get out. Here's the best documentary. He said, now let's give a documentary for the Academy Award. He was flustered.
Yeah,
he was obviously his head. He got fucked over. Now.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good point. By the way, so Will Smith has come out and apologized. I put that in air quotes because it's clearly something a publicist wrote. It's not an actual apology. He said what he felt and what he meant last night in his acceptance speech when he was going round and round in circles and talking about how he was a vessel of love and he's up there shedding tears and blah 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 blah. Whatever. You went up there and you did what you did. And if you're willing to do that in a public forum, what are you willing to do in a private situation?
Yeah.
If you're willing to do that in front of the world, if that's what you're willing to do in front of the world, what are you willing to do behind closed doors where no one's going to see? Or in a situation where you as the powerful movie star know that nothing's going to get out about this because you're in control of it. And if his dad was an abuser, he learned how to behave that way, which is unfortunate. But clearly he knows how to behave that way. And we saw a little glimpse of it. And I'm not going to look at Will Smith the same way after this. My wife and I were talking about it, and she goes, you know what? I would not have had a problem if you would have walked up there on stage and said, because my first thing was like, yeah, if you got a problem with him saying something like that, you find him backstage and go, hey, fucker, you're going to go and find my wife and you're going to apologize like you mean it because that was bullshit and you hurt her feelings. That's how a man would handle it. And my wife said, I wouldn't have a problem if he'd gone on stage and done that to him. And like, you apologize to her right now. If that's what happens, instead of him pulling back and slapping him, it's a whole different conversation that we're having today. The conversation is then completely about Chris Rock being a piece of shit. When Chris Rock made a shitty joke.
Yeah. And as somebody else pointed out, even if he had just yelled what he yelled from the chair,
right?
Yeah,
that would have all been okay. The thing about this of course, we're all friends with a lot of stand-ups, touring stand-ups. How many people are going to think it's okay if they're heckling at a comedy club, or they're in a loud party at a comedy club, and the comedian handles the hecklers the way a comedian handles hecklers, and says something that they don't like? Is it then going to be perfectly okay for them to go up on stage?
Yeah.
I mean, that happens anyway, but normally comedy club security is pretty decent.
As I say, have you ever been to Laughs Unlimited before, man?
What I'm saying is, it's not going to be the odd person. It's going to be a more common thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, until it happens like 3 times on like YouTube, and like people see these people get fucking taken down. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be I think people are gonna. It might happen a couple of times, but it's gonna get. There's no stand-up comic that's gonna stand up there with their hands behind their back as some guy walks up on stage.
No, they're gonna put. That's why the mic stand is there to protect you.
Yeah, I know. Like, a bunch of people get fucking punched, and like people get hurt, and you know.
Cedric the Entertainer made a joke last night at something that I saw this afternoon on TMZ, and he was like, "Don't run up here because I slap back."
Right. A lot of people were saying, would he have gone up on stage if The Rock had said that and slapped him? And they're like, no, because Will Smith is a bully. He went up to Chris Rock because Chris Rock is a much smaller man, and he knows he's not going to fight back. He's not going to go up. If Jason Momoa says the same thing, he's not rolling up on stage and throwing hands at Jason Momoa.
Idris Elba.
It's not going to happen. Anyway,
Dame Judi Dench.
Dame Judi, she would handle her shit. Dame Judi Dench is a badass. We know this.
Madeline Albright. Oh wait,
the late Madeline Albright. All right, so now on to what I would like to call important shit, because
I will eat your ass. Eat your ass. I'm literally looking at my neighbors now and going, I will eat your ass.
Okay. That's from the Will Smith private collection. Anyway, we got news from South America. Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for Foo Fighters, was found dead in his hotel room. He was 50 years old. He just turned 50 in February. Fucking awful. By every accounting, Taylor Hawkins is one of the nicest people in music. Taylor Hawkins had overdosed on heroin in 2001 in London, and he talked about that too. But I mean, that was 21 years ago. Think about that for a second. 2001 was 21 years ago. I cannot imagine how the band is feeling. Obviously, his wife, his kids. Just judging from the people that he's had contact with, what a good dude he was. And I first heard this, and I'm like, I wonder if this is the last we hear of the Foo Fighters for a while. Dave Grohl, unbelievably close to Taylor Hawkins. Dave Grohl, of course, lost another bandmate in 1994 when Kurt Cobain committed suicide. And is it 94 or 93? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dave Grohl then went away. And he talks about this. He's talked about this in his book, and I saw an interview where he talked about it. And he was driving on a road in the middle of Ireland, just trying to get away from everything. And he hadn't done music, wasn't doing music. And he picks up this hitchhiker who's wearing a Kurt Cobain t-shirt. He's like, I can't get away from this. The Foo Fighters were then born. And the first album, they weren't even a band. It was just Dave Grohl did everything and put together an album. And then they put together a band after that. And when I heard about this, I don't know about you guys, I didn't know why. I was really fucking sad. And I never met Taylor Hawkins. I saw the Foo Fighters in concert once. I mean, they're a great band. I really enjoy them. But I was just really fucking sad, and I could not put my finger on why. And then I saw this tweet. Said, if you understood that the Foo Fighters were a bridge for the grieving Nirvana fans, then you understand exactly how tangible and heavy the grief over losing Taylor Hawkins is. They helped heal a sad Generation X. That's where it comes back. When Kurt Cobain committed suicide, I was fucking devastated. Dude was literally, at that point in time, the voice of our generation. He was the one who was saying the shit that we were all like, what the fuck? And Kurt was 3 years older than I am, so 4 years older than you, Kareem. 10 years older than Jason. So Jason, you would have been 13, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
How did the news of Taylor Hawkins passing away hit you guys?
I'm gonna leave this one to you guys because I'm not.
No, and that's completely understandable.
This could just be because I brought to Gen X, but when I was coming of age, when I was 13, 12, 14, I saw a lot of the people that I liked in music, that I looked up to in music or enjoyed in music die. Like at the same time, there was Tupac and Biggie. There was, Kurt Cobain. There was Shannon Swoon, the guy from Soundgarden, right? Didn't he OD also around that time too? Like all these guys, was it Alice in Chains? And all these guys were like dropping dead. Like all these people were dying. So
over the course of time, yeah.
I mean, over the course of like 5 or 6 years of the time where I was listening to music and discovering stuff, so it makes me sad, but at the same time, like to me, this is what rock and roll. This is what people in rock and roll do. This is rock and roll. This is music. That's the way it is, man. Like I'm sad, and I get it that it for some people was like, while I like Kurt Cobain and Foo Fighters is one of my favorite rock bands, like it's not. It wasn't the same type of tragedy necessarily for me like Kurt Cobain. And it could also be too like my issues with suicide myself, dealing with it myself too. I mean, like almost like. I mean, I don't want to look at somebody else that's actually done what I couldn't do. I don't know, failed what I failed at doing. I don't know. He wasn't as big of a. It wasn't as big, but that said, I was a much bigger Foo Fighters fan, so I don't know why why it's not hitting me really hard. Maybe it's also just numbness from the last 3 fucking years of a pandemic and seeing all these people fucking die. Like, people die, dude. Oh, well.
What, 750,000 Americans of COVID? Just of COVID.
So, yeah. And then, I've seen a lot of death too this year. I mean, like, both of Chris's grandparents have died this in the last, like, year. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot. 3 of her grandparents died in the last year. So I've been seeing a lot of, like, as Kareem's, there's a lot of death, I mean,
death is our constant companion.
So, but I'm not gonna. I can understand why people are sad.
It's just really weird how some of these things you're like, okay, I'm sad for a minute. I feel badly for their family and friends. That's always my first feeling, especially when when somebody has like little kids. Like those kids are gonna have to grow up without a parent, and that sucks. That was one of the things about Kurt Cobain committing suicide that was just so fucking mind-boggling to me.
Bean is like 23 years old, 24 years old, or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you believe that shit?
She's older than that because she was
30?
around. She'd probably be 28 now, somewhere in that neighborhood. Because I mean, we're coming up on 28 years since he committed suicide.
Did he commit suicide?
Yes, he did. And I know what you're talking about. All the conspiracy stuff that came out.
There's a conspiracy theory about every fucking thing, man.
Sure, and it was very strong. There was a lot. I remember listening to something. I remember listening to something where they were talking about these theories that Courtney Love had him killed, which have no basis.
I think Christopher Hitchens did a documentary about that.
Yeah. I mean,
somebody
either way. So, but for me, as someone who at the time had just turned 24 years old, the idea that you would be on top of the world.
Yeah.
Literally on top of the world, you know, and I understand for him as someone who was struggling with a lot of different things, it didn't feel like it. But he had a wife who cared about him, and he had a baby daughter. Yeah. And to punch out on that just was mind-boggling to me at the time. And it took a very long time for me to get past it. And every time we come up on the anniversary, I'm sad again. I'm not like debilitatingly sad, but I am sad because it feels so unnecessary. And then I start to wonder, well, what would have happened? I mean, we would not have Foo Fighters. Certainly, it would not have happened the way it happened. So musically, and this sounds very cold, musically, is that trade-off worth it? And there are some people that would go, yeah, because you have no idea what Nirvana would have put out had Kurt Cobain stayed alive. It might have been a Guns N' Roses situation where they were the biggest band in the world for like 4 years, and then meh.
They all did too many drugs.
Right? There's a lot of that.
I mean, that's the story of rock and roll. That's rock and fucking roll. That's rock and roll, man. Even the Beatles, 10 years, man. We talk about the Beatles, about how they're so prolific and so great. They're together, 10 fucking years? Like, they did a lot more work outside of the Beatles than they ever did in the Beatles.
Yeah, absolutely did. So let's talk about rock and roll. I have happy news, for me anyway. If you like rock and roll music, if you want to dance with me. Anyway, if you like rock and roll music, actual rock music with guitars and shit, one of my favorite bands, the Gaslight Anthem, has made their announcement they're coming back. They put out on social media, "Hello everyone, Brian here." That's the lead singer, Brian Fallon. "I hate to disappoint you, but I need to inform you that there will not be a 10th anniversary handwritten tour or a documentary. However, I am pleased to announce to you all that the Gaslight Anthem is returning to full-time status as a band," which I thought was a wonderful way to announce it. A few days later, as we're recording this on Monday, they have announced most of the world tour. They will be coming to San Francisco in September, so I'm hoping to go to that. I did get to see them on their last tour. I saw them in Oakland, and they were fucking fantastic, even though Brian Fallon had a throat infection and busted through it. Like, the lead singer of the band has a throat infection, and boom. So there was my good news. I needed some good news.
Oh, quick. Do either of you guys watch Atlanta?
I watched like one episode of Atlanta, but I know what it is. Yes.
No. Yeah. The season opener. I mean, you guys should check it out. Season 3, episode 1.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, I mean, they do this in the seasons. Like in the seasons, like I love it, and they'll sometimes do these episodes that like have nothing to do with the rest of the season, or are almost a vignette. Like, and the director's Hiro Murai, who does a lot of like really beautiful work, like as far as like shots and stuff like that, like composition. Anyhow, yeah. So there was one in the first season. There's one in the second season. The second season is this one where it's like in the deep south. And one of the guys that's Donald Glover's like friend goes to pick up a piano from this this house in the plantation, and it's like a guy that's like it's almost like a Michael Jackson type of guy who's like dyed himself white almost. It was like, but it's just such a great like one-off episode of just like this idea, like it has nothing to do with any other stuff in the season or whatnot. It could have just been a guy that's going to American Gothic, out in the middle of nowhere to pick up a piano, ends in this creepy house with this creepy guy. And it's just this tension. The episode last night, or the episode 1 of season 3 is exactly like that. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm just having the same thoughts. And like, it can't be what this is about. It can't be what this is about. Like, so if you guys don't like Atlanta, then I would urge you guys to watch that episode.
And then Jack Reacher came in and killed some people.
Yeah. It would have been awesome if you done.
Great one-off, right?
That would have been a great one-off and a great way to cap it.
Right? Cap it.
But it's something that Kareem talks about a lot, so you should definitely watch it. You should watch.
Okay.
It's called 3 Slaps.
Oh, okay.
It's called 3 Slaps.
Well,
it's funny that I watched it. It's funny that I watched it. What I did.
I had my kind of like Nate's thing. I got to see the Goody Mob on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
And since I have actually one of the tattoos I have is of one of their album covers, that was really great for me. And it was actually the whole group, including CeeLo.
Let's say, did you protect your drink?
I did get close enough to him to have to worry about that. And then me and him had a moment. I was close
like a moment.
Like a moment.
Like a moment.
Yes, because they played Sailing by Christopher Cross. So they played that with a hip hop beat under it. And I can't remember what song they used underneath it. But just while they were gearing up to close out the show. And we're vibing on that. That's one of the great songs of all time, Sailing.
By Christopher Cross?
Yes.
Oh, it does take me away.
Yes.
To where I'm going to woo.
Yes.
Yeah, Christopher Cross is great, man.
Yes.
How dare you? All right. Speaking of sounds, here's what a dog whistle sounds like.
If you want to save Georgia from Stacey Abrams, can you believe? And she lives in these beautiful houses all of a sudden. She's living in these gorgeous multi-million-dollar houses. What the hell is going on? Will anybody ever look into this kind of stuff?
Oh, well, how dare that black woman live in an expensive home?
She was on Star Trek.
Someone should look into it.
She wrote a couple of books, like New York Times bestsellers. So yeah, so she should have some money.
Yeah, but racist dog whistle, man.
Yes,
racist dog whistle. Man.
How could a black person ever have that?
Well, you see,
honestly,
you can't say that. It's like Stacey Abrams all of a sudden living in these really nice houses. Why won't someone look into that?
Will Smith just getting away with that.
The subtext, of course, is how does this black lady afford these nice houses?
How does this black man get away with slapping this black man on stage?
And then that comes back to, well, why come I don't have it? Or why don't you have it? How can they have it and you don't have it?
Yeah.
Why does she have it and you don't have it? But here's the thing. I'm Donald Trump. I got it. Of course I have it, but why should she have it?
He's kind of been doing that to the poor white folk for a long time. That's what they've been. That's their trick.
So now this also happened at the rally. Candidate for Senate from Georgia, Herschel Walker, spoke.
For this country, people want to ask me all the time why I'm running. I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of them wanting to teach CTR in school Critical race theory. Can you tell me what that means? We're Americans. We're not black. We're not white. We're American.
Okay, I could tell you what that means. They're not teaching critical race theory in regular schools. It's a legal concept they teach in law school. The thing you're talking about is some bullshit where they're talking about teaching history that will make white people feel bad. I don't know why this upsets Herschel Walker so much, but clearly it does. At what point, now Herschel made a lot of money in his career, Kareem. At what point did he go from being a black man to a rich man? Because that's usually where the transition happens.
After the Philadelphia Eagles cut him, that last team. And by the time he'd made enough money that, actually he probably did that. I think he did it at Georgia. And when Donald Trump drafted him to the New Jersey Generals.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he might have made the switch then.
Don't know. I mean, he got money early on, and he made a lot of money in his career. But
yeah, but it's crazy. The Republicans always throw out the Republicans in charge don't want competent black people in office, because every time they bring a black person to run against another black person, it's always some jackass like this. It used to be Alan Keyes, and then Alan Keyes was the guy that they would always throw out, and then it was Herman Cain. It's never been like a serious black person, and the serious black people that they did have in the party, they marginalized all of them.
Colin Powell, for instance.
Colin Powell, J.C. Watts, the black people, the black men in that generation of Republicans, who actually probably could have won, and had the Republicans decided not to pivot towards racism again, probably could have set the Republicans up to run the country for the last 20 years.
Yeah. All right, let's transition to something really important. Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott are going back to the drawing board on baby names, which is weird because their baby was born 7 weeks ago. She says they're changing their newborn's name from Wolf. She made the announcement explaining that she and Travis just really didn't feel like the name suited their son, who's about 6.5 weeks old. So he can't say he was attached to Wolf. It's unclear what Kylie and Travis are calling their boy now. She's only saying that it's not Wolf and that they wanted folks to know because Kylie is apparently tired of seeing him referred to by that name.
That's who Will Smith should have slapped.
Travis?
Both of them.
Yeah. So the baby's full name at birth was Wolf Jacques Webster. That's what's on his birth certificate. So they're going to have to go through the legal process of changing that. And his middle name, Jacques, is actually Travis's birth name. So I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Again, that's who he should slap both of them.
Jacques is going to become his first name, and then Strap will be his new middle name.
Jacques Strap. that's as timely as that G.I. Jane reference that Rock made.
Hey, no, people don't still watch G.I. Jane. People still use jock straps. If you watch the new Jackass movie, they still use jock straps.
I have not seen the new Jackass movie, although I would like to.
It's on Paramount. They bring up the new kids that are going to be taking over, right. I think. So.
Well, yeah, because you can't. I mean, Steve-O only has a couple of stunts in a movie now.
Yeah, no, all of them do. All of them do. Right. I mean, Johnny Knoxville gets taken out on the stretcher.
Well, he looks more like the old man character just in everyday life now than he did 10 years ago. All right, so as you guys know,
I thought it was him when I was watching the Righteous
Gemstones.
Gemstones. Have you guys seen that? You guys watch? I thought he was he played. I thought it was him.
Oh, Baby Billy.
Yeah, I thought he was Baby Billy. It's not. He's not Baby Billy, but I thought he was Baby Billy. I was not sure for the first, and then I was looked at the credits, oh, it's that dude from Justified.
Yes. Yes, Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins, yeah. But
who also Walton Goggins, by the way, great actor. He was also on
The Hateful Eight.
He was on Sons of Anarchy. He played the transgender character, and he was on what was the Michael Chiklis show? The Shield. The Shield. So very good then.
He was on the SEAL Team show too. That was on National Geographic, I think. And then
he's a really really good actor.
And then my favorite role is this Hateful Eight role.
Yes. All right. So before we wrap up with some Gen X thoughts, I found this on TikTok earlier today and wanted to share it with everybody. This is from the TikTok account at America_is_the_bad.place. This isn't hating on America, by the way, in case you're wondering. It's not. It's really just pointing out the differences of America with other places. This one is paid time off, USA versus Europe, and the person doing this TikTok plays at first a manager at an American company and then a manager at a European company, and see if you can spot the difference.
He took all of his 5 paid days off in one go this year. And then when I called him on Thursday and told him we needed him to come in, he just refused and said he had booked the week off months ago. He's clearly not a team player. Hey, we need to talk about Derek. He's only taken 5 days off this year so far. And he carried over 5 days from last year. So he's still got 27 paid leave days to take between now and the end of June at the cutoff. So I've asked him repeatedly to book more time off because it's just not healthy for him to not have a break for 6 months. Plus there's 5 paid public holidays between now and the end of June. So even if he carries over 5 days into next year, he's still going to have 27 days off between, over the next 4 months. Yeah, and other people in his team have got most of their holidays booked. So he's really going to struggle to fit time off when someone can cover for him. But yeah, he needs to take more time off to be a team player.
So very, very different. American workplace to European.
Me and somebody was having this conversation last week. Not necessarily American, European, but so I used to work at a spa.
And I need to ask you about that when we're done with this. I have a question for you. Go.
Okay.
Keep going.
So I used to work at I'm going to say it. Fuck them, mellow me out. And my brother was getting married, and I put in the vacation request like 6 months in advance. So I'm like, my brother's getting married, so I need to take this weekend off. And the vacation time was approved. And then when we get closer to the vacation time, they're like, oh, well, you need to find somebody to cover your shift.
I have the same issue with my job.
And I'm like, no, I don't. It's not my fucking job for me to find somebody for you to cover my shifts. I gave you the notice that I was going to be off. I bought my tickets. I'm taking the time off. Whether you have somebody here working or not, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
That's a you problem, not a me problem.
That's a you problem, not a The idea that your employee has to find somebody to cover their shifts to take time off when you don't pay them for vacation
in the first place. Fuck you.
How fucking backwards thinking do you have to be in order to think that I have to find somebody to cover for you to make money when I'm not going to make any money?
You know how hard they can fuck off?
Yes.
It's hard. It's so hard.
And they can keep fucking right off.
Like, no, I'm like, my brother's getting married. I'm not staying to this bullshit for this.
Yeah,
What's lost your goddamn mind?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for some approval on my time off that I requested. I did get approval on a May bachelor party, but like you said, as we get closer, my boss might say you need to find a replacement. You need to find somebody to fill in while you're not here. And Kareem, that does not count you.
Yeah.
For anybody unaware, Jason is a stay-at-home dad, so that's why it's fun.
Yes.
Hey, so Kareem, you mentioned working in the massage therapy industry.
Yes.
How is it that Deshaun Watson had so many different massage therapists that he allegedly was having issues with?
Okay.
Because he went through what, like 48?
I think it was.
There's 22 accusers, but I believe he went through.
It's 40.
Yeah, it's something like it's some crazy amount. And when they asked him,
there were 18. There were 18 that wrote a letter in support of him. So,
but that's not my question. My question is, how is it that you have 40 different massage therapists?
So
that's a lot. And hi, Bruce.
I mean, well, okay. So here's the deal. So most people don't get massaged that regularly.
Right.
A lot of people will come get a massage once or twice a year. And then I used to work on a guy that played for the Kings regularly, but I was his therapist here. But Deshaun Watson was between Texas, New York, and I think he's from Georgia. So he was in several different places there. And then reading one of the letters about the areas that he needed to be worked on. If you're and so here's the other thing about massage therapists. There's a range of massage therapists too, because you got people that just do frou-frou massage, and he probably reached out to a couple of those people, and then they couldn't do what he really needed done as far as the massage goes. And then he reached out to some of those people, and they were actually people who did sex work and not really did massage. Because in this conversation, people want to pretend like they're not people that do sex work, pretending that they're massage therapists.
Well, sure, we learned from Robert Kraft.
Because I had to do so when you have your license, you have to do like refresher courses, and then to keep your license up to date. So I was in a class, and there were 2 Russian girls who clearly weren't doing massage because they had fingernails that were like this long.
Yeah, that's not conducive to the massage.
That's not conducive to massage. And they came dressed like they weren't, massage therapists usually dress modestly. They were not dressed that way. And they were, one of the girls like sat on me I got stuck with the 2 of them doing the working on the different new techniques, and they pretty much played the whole time. Like one of them sat on me during her.
Sounds awful.
Yes, it was horrible.
I'm sure you were protesting a lot.
I was protesting the whole time.
So it doesn't seem odd to you that Deshaun Watson had 40 massage therapists.
Generally, I would think generally like the guy from the Kings. He used me a lot, and then somebody stole him from me. She knows who she is.
I don't doubt that if you're a player, you've got a few different people that you go to depending on what city you're in.
Yeah.
But if you got somebody who takes care of you, and they take care of you, you're probably not. Like, I didn't go get a massage when I was going and getting massages. I might go maybe 4 or 5 times a year, but I made sure I went back to the same person.
Yeah, and then he could have been cheap too. That's the other part of that.
Oh, well, not anymore. He can't because he's the highest paid player.
Right. But he could have been cheap too.
And he also could have been exposing himself to each one of them and saying that they needed to touch his wiener.
He could have, and then some of them could have like pulled the towel back and touched his wiener.
And then some of them were like,
that's what Kareem would do.
Yeah. That's what Kareem
I'm just saying.
Whatever it takes to get the job done.
That's a possibility too. And
you're the king.
And here's the deal: is you have to. This is the thing you got to remember too with massage. In certain places in the country, it's still regulated like it's a sex act.
Oh, okay. Places like Georgia and Texas and
and then there's still places in California. So one of my tenants called me like 2 months ago. They had bought the business from the previous tenant.
Okay.
And that person was licensed to be a massage therapist. And in their lease, it said that they could be a massage therapist. Well, the business license didn't transfer over. So the new tenant had to call me back and have me send a letter to the city of Bakersfield that said that we gave them permission to be a massage, do massage at the place.
And now that you mention it, I remember filling out the forms for Darling New Media, and they ask what type of business you are when you're doing your business license or whatever you're doing, depending on where you are, whether it's city, county, whatever like that. And you have, if you check that you are a massage therapist, there's a bunch of other things that you have to go through and deal with. So yeah, I do remember that now. But
look, and look, I didn't send that back to the city of Bakersfield business license department. I sent that to the Bakersfield PD.
Oh, Bakersfield.
Yeah,
no, I bring it up only because, one, you have knowledge of the massage business, and two, I heard Rich Eisen talking about that on his radio show at the Deshaun Watson press conference. He's like, how does this happen? So I'm like, I got somebody who might have an idea, and we'll ask him.
So yeah,
all right.
I mean, so yeah, So
I mean, but it is. I mean, like my aunt has been a massage therapist for like my whole life, as long as I remember. She cannot do anything on Saturdays because that's her busiest day. Like she cannot survive if she does not work on Saturdays. And she has clients that have been visiting her for 20 years, like same clients. Like she has clientele like that. She's not going anywhere, been in the same place. So I don't know. I mean, it also feels like a celebrity, like somebody that's a celebrity ex-player. I don't know, man. It seems like you would want to have somebody that you trust, that you can talk shit, like you can be like on a phone call and not have to worry about stuff, or have somebody come in and do stuff. Like, so, I mean, to go through 40, like if we're just talking about like 10 or 15, or even those 19 that think that he's a great guy, like if it's 19, like 19, I mean,
and again, the other part of that is none of these complaints came about until he decided that he wanted to leave Houston. And the guy who's the lawyer for those 22 just happens to be the neighbor and friend of the owner of Houston.
Oh. I just saw an article that none of the teams that were interested in trading for Deshaun Watson talked to any of the women who are suing him.
And that wasn't because they weren't interested in hearing from him. It was because they didn't want to be seen as interfering in the case at that point.
And for the record, the criminal cases, the grand jury, the two grand juries that were impaneled are not proceeding with charges. So it's literally at this point, it's only civil cases moving forward.
And mind you, those cases were in Harris County, which is Houston, which is Harris County. Mm-hmm. Harris County routinely sends innocent people to prison.
Innocent black people?
No.
Innocent people.
Oh, all people.
Yes, there's a documentary on HBO on Showtime right now about a kid that got sent to prison for child molestation. That got released. The documentary came out last year, and then the True Crime podcast that I listen to, they've gotten at least 5 people released in the time that they've been doing it from the county.
What's baffling to me as I'm thinking about cops and public safety is how antithetical to public safety it is to frame the wrong person for something. Because that means the person who actually did it is still out there. And unless you get a Catholic Church situation where they've been moved to another parish, county, state, whatever.
And I mean, the only reason we have police is to protect property in the first place. We all know this.
Well, not if you watch Pam and Tommy.
And then there's another one that was on Netflix, and I want to say that was in there, and it's called like The Phantom. And there's a guy who I think got put to death, and there was the person who actually did it was a police informant. And the police act like they had no clue that person existed. So that's why the documentary's named the way it is. Mm. And it's that same county. So if they want to get you, they'll, if there's something there, Harris County will make sure that you go to jail.
It's like that CD.
There you go. All right, it's time for famous last words with some Gen X attitude. Kareem, let's have famous last words from you.
With all of the loss that I have suffered of late, I remind people that death is a constant companion. So at this point, you might as well embrace it. Whatever you want to do, whatever you've been thinking about doing, you might as well do it. Because guess what? You might not be here tomorrow.
Jason, famous last words with Gen X attitude.
If somebody says, "Did you like that new CD?" or "Do you want it? Do you want this CD?" or anything about a CD, don't answer, because they're just gonna say, "These nuts."
And finally, my famous last words with a little bit of Gen X attitude is this. Look, don't be a little bitch about stuff. Sometimes, I'm not saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Sometimes you just got to go, fuck it. Is it that big a deal? Is that big a deal? Do I want to deal with this? Is it worth dealing with?
Is it worth the fuck?
Is it worth, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth, if I go up and slap somebody, is it worth going to jail, even if only for a couple of hours? Is it worth
is the lube worth the stroking? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Right? Do I want to bust out the tissues and the Jergens and have a jerk off session on my couch where I could accidentally splooge onto the back of it? Or do I just want to be conservative about it and take care of business like a man?
Yes. And if the person who's with you does not love you enough to protect you from yourself, you need to get away from that fucking person.
That's it. Boom. We're out of here, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on the WTH Podcast with Gen X Attitude. Bye.